Hello everyone, welcome back. We're still setting some stuff up here. Esther's preparing her laptop, but when she's done, then I'll invite you over here. Is the mic working of Esther? Is it all? Yeah?
We'll figure it out.
Okay, perfect. Good to see you again.
Yes, good to be here again.
Yeah. It's nice doing like conference and stuff again, right? So
Yes.
is this the first one of the year for you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think for most people it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to admit that COVID for me was kind of like very nice to be in my own personal bubble.
Your own bubble, yeah.
So I discovered anxieties that I never realized I had going back into the real world and being social again. So,
yeah. And also like going back to crowds, right? So that's also something that I have a bit trouble with. And,
especially the first big conference that I went to.
Yeah.
When you were in these large rooms again, with so many people trying to make conversation,
right?
I never realized we were that loud as a community. But definitely is something that I'm growing to accustomed again. It takes some time.
It definitely takes some time, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's why I think this kind of setting is nice, because with this conference, we're like only the speakers and organizers are here on site, so it's quite a nice way of getting up to speed again with the whole conference and speaking gig. So I think it's nice, easy way back in.
Yes. Yeah, and what I loved about COVID too is that everyone only saw this part of me.
Come on.
I figured I had like 2 years to exercise and
don't be silly.
To slim down.
No.
Somehow I discovered that it's not about the whole dieting but just feeling comfortable in your own body.
Exactly.
So that definitely is a gain that
Thank you for saying
a big plus that COVID brought me.
That's excellent.
Personally, but yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good to hear.
So I'm all good just being in person on video.
Perfect.
Doing the whole hybrid.
I definitely want to compliment also on the t-shirt, because I have it as well, but it's not so in a good state. Mine is really like crumbling off.
Oh yeah,
so
I'm very.
I need a new version of this one.
I'm very. It's very precious to me because I love how it shows the collaboration instead of I'm gonna age myself now, but instead of the Windows versus Linux discussions that we had in the past, it's now more about how can we collaborate and
not dev versus ops, but maybe something in between.
Is
that a nice bridge to your session?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, you want me to hop on over
let's start. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Some cool stuff.
All right. So again, if you would like to contribute at the next VACD, make sure you watch the CFP when it's there. And again, I would like to mention that we are always happy to help in case you want to try your presentation, help you with the CFP itself. We're always there for you. So let's get started, Esther.
Yeah, well, let's get started. Thanks for having me once again. My session is all about, basically my personal journey coming from an operational background to this whole new cool terminology that is now called DevOps. And I wanted to share with you some of the mindset changes that I went through. And hopefully they will help you too in your own personal journey in becoming maybe even the new cloud engineer or just having fun scripting with DevOps nowadays. Short introduction of myself, though you already did a great job. Thanks for that. So I'm just quickly gonna go over this, share with you that I've been around in the community for quite some time, on the job as a consultant as well. But I just love sharing knowledge. So I'm very fortunate to be able to do that through different community programs like CGIX Technology Professionals, Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, and also through the Citrix User Group Community Women in Tech Mentorship Program that myself and two other CTPs started about 6 years ago, where we're trying to mentor all the women in tech, trying to build a network that gives us more visibility within the community. So if you want to reach out on that, feel free to track me down either on LinkedIn or all the other socials that are out there. And for me, I've been transitioning basically for the last couple of years, focusing more and more on DevOps and cloud automation, using all these cool tools. But basically, that's not all I wanted to focus on today. Because for me personally, one of the things that I learned in my journey is that DevOps is not just all about tools. And of course, my own journey started with that very important question. Is DevOps basically a combination of development and operations, as the definition says? Is it like a 50-50 deal? I wasn't sure when I got started on where to position it. So yeah, I figured, why not just get the bull by the horn and basically use that bullseye to make it more visual. First of all, I did realize it wasn't totally on the upside and definitely not totally on the DevOps side. But from my personal experience, I have to admit that DevOps definitely leans a bit heavier on developer tools and processes than I was accustomed in my operational work. And then, of course, there's also the community. And I love Aaron Parker. He's a great community friend. But seeing tweets like this definitely isn't, I think, helping operations to welcome this whole new DevOps world and DevOps roles that are available. So I was very happy that instead of me being the first to reply, Tobias, another community friend of mine, responded in a very articulate way. I have to comment and praise him for giving this great response. Because I think he hits it right on the nail. It's not like we've never thought about automating our repetitive standard processes or work or workload. But what I love about his response is that last part. We now have better tools. But once again, if we're talking about DevOps tools and DevOps empowering tools, it can be quite overwhelming. At least it was for me, to be honest. So that's why I decided to share with you not just this whole discovery of what are all the tools out there that will help me, but first of all, discover on what processes do I need to adapt. Because I think that's even more important to realize that it does require a mindset change for at least me as coming from the operational background. And to give that a bit more body, I wanted to talk about how at least I approached new projects, especially infrastructure-focused projects, or in my case, end-user computing projects. First of all, we started with the waterfall method for a long time, I think, at least in my memory. And it is a good method for project management, but as you can see, it's all about just splitting up the work in very clear phases. So you first have to present like building, designing the whole environment, the entire infrastructure and all the components in it. And once you have that blueprint ready, you continue to the build phase. And then you start implementing all these cool technologies and making sure that everything works. And then you proudly create your first release. And that's the moment where end users have the opportunity to provide you with feedback. But we all realize by now that that waterfall method could mean that projects could take like a year before they release to production. So that means that you're expecting basically that end user needs or functional requirements do not change within a year. And I have to admit, reality is not that colorful or not that positive for the waterfall method. So I, for one, was very enthusiastic about transitioning to an agile way of work. Because as you can see, it basically means that I'm still going through the same process steps, defining, building, and releasing, but it's short cycled. So that doesn't only mean that I don't have to worry at the beginning of getting that entire blueprint ready and have it finalized before I start building. No, I can limit my scope to that minimum viable product or the core features that I want to present to my end users. And then I can quickly start into building and releasing and getting feedback. Because one of the things that I learned working in an agile way is that feedback is such an important thing to have, because that's where we actually test if what we're building, if all the assumptions that we maybe unconsciously made during our build and define processes are actually working in reality. So basically, do not be too scared about starting to transition to an agile way of working. I think it can work for you, especially if you realize that it's basically just going through the same processes in a faster pace with a limited scope, so you can actually really focus on getting the job done. And to give you a bit of a visual reference, maybe some of you that did like project meeting or project management courses in the past even recognize some of these pictures. But basically, to compare the two, what you see with waterfall is you first start with that whole design based on the functional requirement that your end user wants to have a swing in a tree. Maybe that first picture even is a bit too much literal, swing in a tree, but okay. What you can see is that that blueprint just found basically its way into the release. And based on that first feedback, where they realized it wasn't actually swinging, they came up with what I call a quick fix. I'm not sure if the tree is really happy with this quick fix solution. But if you're looking at the agile way of working, it's all about starting with just the small functionality. We want to have a way to swing from the branch of a tree. And then, of course, that first release gave us some discussions with security, to be honest, because they basically explained to us that it wasn't really clear which body part was supposed to go in the swing. So yeah, it did make a lot of sense to quickly change the design, rebuild, and basically come up with all these other iterations. Every time asking once again, is this workable for my end user? Oh, do we need to tweak some? Okay, we'll make some tweaks. And what you see, at least from my perspective, is that you have a very, very, very luxe swing as an end user to use. And I think that's way more comfortable than the one that the waterfall method provided. So that's something to think about. While we're talking about Agile and Scrum way of working, the other thing that I had to learn was, well, first of all, the teams have a different structure. You have your development team, product owner, and a Scrum Master, and each has a very clear role within the team. And especially what I love about that development team, it's not just putting a bunch of people with the same expertise or specialism in a group and hoping that they can manage. It's all about being a cross-discipline team. So that also means that we can learn a lot from each other within the development or the DevOps team. And then, of course, there's the daily Scrum. And at first, oh boy, when I heard daily Scrum, I felt like, oh my God, this is like summer camp. This is where we get to create that kumbaya moment at the campfire, where we're all sharing way too much information and feeling all happy with the group. This is me trying to let you see that is not the function of the daily Scrum, because I discovered that it's actually very functional, especially for me. I'm the type of person that gets like the tunnel vision, like the super focus if I'm working on any challenges or any scripting or any code that I'm developing. And that sometimes means that I totally forget to ask for help. And what I love about the daily Scrum is that, first of all, I just give them a quick summary of what I did yesterday. Then I explain to them what the type of work is or what the product backlog items are that I want to focus on today. But the main thing is, every time I talk about what is in my way, it's basically asking for help without asking for help. Because this gives everyone in the team the opportunity to offer help without me asking it. So if I tell them, well, I was trying to figure out this function and it still isn't fully working, and I'm running into these errors, and there's the opportunity for the entire team to say, Esther, I don't mean to pry, but I did run into the same error last week. And what worked for me is that I did this or that or whatever. And then that gives me new insights. So it's also very helpful for that creative process within the team. And I think it even makes the team be more efficient as well. But that's just for management. So let's not get too carried away about that. Yes, I still want to focus on the technology. And if I'm talking about my DevOps adventure, it's all about discovering infrastructure as code. If we're looking at the definition of infrastructure as code, it's all about provisioning infrastructure resources, basically in a similar way as software is developed. So what I mean by that is that we're focusing on using templates and scripts together with some orchestration tooling to make sure that all the resources we need for our infrastructure are deployed either in a public cloud or a private cloud. And if we're talking about code, I do want to make sure that you understand that there are basically two types of code that we can talk about: imperative and declarative code. And I created this great way of explaining the differences between these types of code. If we're talking about imperative code, it's all about executing a sequence of commands, basically in a specific order, and you're describing every little step in the entire process. So it's kind of like a step-by-step instructions manual, or what I like to say in regards to that other hobby that I have is it's like following a recipe. And in this case, burgers, of course. So it's all about not just telling you what the ingredients are for the burger, but also how to prepare and combine each and every ingredient in what step to create the sauce that you want on your burger, prepare the meat, and even specifying the specific order in how to build that bun and create your perfect hamburger. So if we translate that back to what is imperative code within infrastructure as code, it's all about using scripts, because each and every script is all about following a number of steps to get to that end result. But still, each and every step has to perform all the actions that you need to make that end result happen. Talking about declarative code, it's way more focused on only specifying the end configuration that you strive for. So it's much more like ordering from a menu. In this case, I just picked, of course, a random hamburger menu. But still, ordering from a menu means that even though I do not care how it is exactly prepared or in what order it's prepared in the kitchen, I still want to be able to specify whether or not I want that tomato on my hamburger, or whether or not I want extra bacon, or maybe only have that burger done medium rare. So there's still enough opportunity to make it custom to my needs, but I only have to focus on that end result. So translating that once again back to code, it's all about using templates. And then it becomes a lot more easier to get started with infrastructure as code, or maybe even service as code, or platform as code. It just depends on what you want to focus on. But the cool part is that right now we have all these awesome tools that give us the opportunity to just provide a template of that end specification or that end configuration that you desire, and they will make it happen for you. So talking once again about those templates, if we're talking about Azure, for instance, there is the Azure Resource Manager. That's basically the heart of Azure and all Azure deployments. So we're usually accustomed to using the portal to make that, to offer or to make the specifications for the resources that we want to deploy. But nowadays, we can also offer a template. In this case, it's a bicep template directly to the resource manager to make the magic happen. Once again, it's just bicep offering the template to the Azure Resource Manager, and then the Azure Resource Manager as that orchestrator basically magically makes the resources configured and all appear in Azure. Pretty cool, right? And once you understand the power of configuration, you can also use that with different tools. It's basically the same idea, making sure that you have everything specified in that template, offer it to your orchestrator tool, in this case it's Terraform in this example, and the end results will happen. So it's not just for infrastructure as code, as I discovered. It's basically opening up the world for everything as code. And I think that's where the next iteration of cloud management is heading. If we're talking in my particular end user computing reference, everything as code is easily translated to infrastructure as code, but also can be applied to image as code or workspace as code. And then it's just about applying the same idea, getting that template from your storage. And as you can see, I'm getting eyeballed now. So I will wrap up for sure. Thanks for that very clear message. And as you can see, it's all about using that template, and then before you know it, these tools actually make sense. And with that slide, I want to say thank you all. Give Hank some opportunity to breathe again, and then wish you an awesome follow-up of the next scheduled presentation. You want me to come back on stage? There's still time?
Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, yeah. Your timing was so perfect. I mean, so natural.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Yes. No clue what I was doing. Thank you for the clear 5-minute break.
Oh, this was really very good. So,
Yes.
but like the last final slide with all of the pictures, you don't have to understand everything, right?
No, and of course it's like a consultant answer to say it depends on which tool applies. But I hope, at least with this presentation, I gave you an idea that it's more important to focus on the processes and getting basically that functional requirements clear. And then you can probably find a tool that will save you a lot of work and offer you the opportunity to use that template and then actually only have to specify that end configuration.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
that's what I love about DevOps, so to speak.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for companies who struggle with this, with the whole automation part or moving to DevOps?
Well, if I'm fully honest, it's not only those templates. Of course, there's still scripting involved, or at least some tooling that will help you translate your workflows that you can use to write out each and every process that you're doing. Like Azure DevOps has pipelines that help you easily translate the workflows into step-by-step instructions. So that's kind of like scripting. But I'm hoping that especially those ops engineers that are a bit nervous about having to become a developer or having to become like a programmer, that a basic knowledge of scripting is all you need to actually get started. Because there are enough examples out there that will tell you step by step how to use or offer that template to the Azure Resource Manager, for instance. Oh yeah.
Great. So thank you very much. I hope a lot of people will watch this and then take the first step to this DevOps journey. And small steps are enough, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you don't need to be a
definitely.
pro like from day one. So just
No,
start small.
just start small, and then,
Exactly.
like I
Yeah.
said, just focus on that small scope, and then once you get excited, just start building
up.
more functionality to it. And
Excellent.
before you know it, you have all those tools in your toolbox.
Exactly. All right. Well, thanks again very much, and I hope to see you soon another time. And we'll take a small break now for prepare for the next speaker. See you soon.
See you soon.